Welcome to the Golf Coach Podcast. Brett, how you going, man?
Yeah, good, mate. Yourself?
I'm doing really well, mate. Stoked to have you on. I guess people love hearing from tournament players, Brady. I hear it all the time. Like when my DMs kind of blow up a little bit after podcasts release, and I feel like people are really attracted to hearing stories, I guess, and stuff from tours and hearing what you guys are up to and kind of behind the ropes, mate. So, from me and all the listeners in the Golf Coach Podcast, we appreciate you coming on.
No, I'm glad. I'm happy to share all the stories I've got.
Yeah, let's
Give
get
everyone
into
a bit of an insight.
So you're in Victoria, right?
Yeah, based in Melbourne.
How come you've got a T-shirt on? What's the weather down there, brother?
It's actually quite warm today. I think it's like 20 degrees.
Oh, that's nice. But
it's blowy. It's windy.
Yeah.
It has been quite good. The last few weeks has been abnormally good for Melbourne, weather-wise.
I've heard. I got some students down there, and we've been like getting team down up here on the East Coast in New South Wales, and people have telling me that down in Melbourne, my students are saying it's actually pretty good.
It is good.
Yeah.
I don't know for how long, because what are we, 30th now? A couple of days till winter.
I know, not long to go. So, let's kind of just get a little bit of, I guess, kind of lay the foundations of where you're at now, which is really exciting. You had a really good last year, finished third on the Australasian Order of Merit. You're heading to DP World Tour next year?
I am. So I've secured some sort of status.
Yes.
Not exactly sure how many starts that will provide me with, but at the end of the day, it's status.
Yes.
So you got your foot in the door. Starts are available when they come.
Yeah.
We're just sitting and waiting a little bit. It rolls over to next year, 2025.
Yep.
So all this year is a bit obsolete. There'll be a couple of starts later on in the year that we'll be able to get into.
Yeah.
Just off the Order of Merit rankings for last year. So, I'm excited. It was definitely a goal a couple of years ago to get initially number one spot, but, we're really happy with third.
That's fantastic now in Australia, how we've got that Australasian Tour, right? How we are awarding, it sounds like I'm the fucking chief executive of the PGA, but how you guys are earning that status on the DP World Tour, right? Like that's really cool, right?
It is good. It gives the guys here an opportunity.
Yes.
And an opportunity to step onto another path.
Yeah.
Essentially to play your way out of this tour.
Yes.
Although since Kim's been in charge, I believe the tour's been on an upward trajectory. There's, I believe, 20 plus events next year on the schedule.
That's awesome.
For the Odds Tour, which is really good. I mean, it gives the kids here a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of events we play now where the amateurs are involved as well. A lot of the TPS events we play the weekends with, up and coming kids, around the ages of 13 to 18.
Yeah.
Which we begged for that when we were that age for sure.
Because, yes, of course, super hungry for it, right? I think the junior golf, amateur golf, and professional golf in Australia, maybe not like professional golf as in regard to the Aussie Open, Australian PGA. That stuff is still kind of staying around the same status, but what's on the Australasian Tour is just been fantastic. And what I like about it, Brady, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, is you've got the experience there, dude, of being able to play nearly what it's like to play a schedule. Because I think a lot of Aussies who play in Australia, might play those main big events, and it's not even worth to kind of travel around to some tournaments due to the nature of financial kind of situations around playing them. And then you get to on these tours and you're like, shit, I haven't played 30 weeks in a year in my life. So that's a challenge. So it's kind of cool to, like, next year you'll feel like whoever also does go well after those 20 events and earns that status on the DP World Tour will kind of have a really good opportunity to feel like what it's like playing on tour, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a good taster or a teaser even.
Yeah. Where are you going to base yourself? Are you going to go over there?
I'd like to. I don't want to travel up and back.
Yes.
Because obviously it's just sheer distance is just enormous. I don't know. I haven't done the European tour.
Yes.
I've played pretty much all the other tours in the world. To a degree, I've played a handful of Asian tour events. I was on Corn Ferry for a while, done my time in America. But I haven't done anything in Europe apart from some amateur stuff in the UK. So it's going to be a new experience for me. I'll learn a lot on the way and see if there's a base that suits me over there. For sure, I'd like to do it though, I think.
I hear stories all the time. I had Scotty Gardner on the podcast and Trotty from Trotty Golf from TaylorMade. He just got released yesterday. And there's some really cool stories out of the DP World Tour. You know, like guys traveling together, and I'm not going to say it's like a relaxed thing, but it seems like a lot of fun for the Aussies as well. You know, obviously it's high pressure. You know,
Yeah.
second main tour in the whole entire world, but it does seem like a really like got lots of culture as well in Europe, right? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, just watching from the outside in, it seems like it's quite a knit group out there. Because there's this unique bond when you go overseas and you see another Australian, whether
Yep.
you're traveling for leisure or you're in the middle of nowhere and you see another. It's kind of comforting, I guess.
Yeah.
It was definitely the case when I was in America. You kind of gravitate towards people from Australia
Yes.
because it's just the culture, right? It's something. It's just a bond that you can't really explain. It's just something that you know.
Yeah.
Quite fondly. So I don't know. It seems like it's a really tight knit group out there, even with the New Zealand guys as well.
Yes.
So I'm keen to get involved.
Yes. Hey, are you still surfing a lot? You going out in the water?
Yeah, I try to. When the weather gets a bit nasty,
Yes.
it gets a little bit gnarly, but generally draws the crowds out, so it's a bit more fun to get more waves. But yeah, I do. I try and get out as often as I can.
How many times that? What, like 3-4 times a week or something?
Oh, it depends. I'll go in patches.
Yes.
So times I'll try and nearly go every day, every week when the surf's good. And other times I won't touch the board for a month or so. It really depends if I've got something to train on with golf or if I'm in the gym working on something or whatever. It's just a hobby that I really enjoy doing.
Do you have anything mobility-wise change when you surf a lot with your golf swing?
Nothing particular. I find it helps me.
Yeah.
Whether it be mental stuff, just like being able to get away from the game or,
Yes.
being able to, I think there's a big element of patience in surfing as well. And that obviously transpires into golf directly.
Yeah.
Because both of them require a lot of patience. So there's that as well. But physical-wise, not really. I don't get any niggles from surfing. But it does. It's a balanced game. You're on the water. You're on a board.
Yeah.
You need a lot of balance. You need a lot of power to pick up on waves. A lot of stamina as well. You're out there on the water paddling. So yeah, I don't think there's any negatives towards it for sure.
No. I just know that when I surf a lot, I get that kind of like a lot of extension through my spine, right? So you kind of get that little bit of surface back, lats get a bit tight. But the mental
you might be better than me though.
No, I don't know about that. The mental side of it though, it's so freeing. Like when you say get away from golf, there's something about being out there, right? Like, 50 meters offshore. There's something freedom about it. Like it's just you're bored. No one can contact you. There's nothing else I can do right now. Like it's like a form of meditation where you kind of force yourself into a corner. There's nothing you can do. Like you're right there. And
you got to live in the moment.
100%. There's nothing else. There's nothing else you can do, right? Just watch out for the shadows. So are you going to take a board over to DP World Tour, you reckon, if you move over to Europe? Do you reckon you'll take a board?
I'll probably just buy one.
Yeah.
Traveling with golf clubs is enough of a burden. Having a surfboard as well.
That's true. Yeah, if you have a base over there, I get it. Just jump on Facebook Marketplace over there and just someone will be selling one somewhere.
Literally.
Hey, tell me, all right, so Brady Coletta, so when I think of you, right, and obviously I teach a lot of golfers, right? Professional golfers through to amateur golfers, and always doing a little bit of leaderboard checking and stuff like that. Would I be mistaken in saying that you had a very decorated and successful amateur career?
I would say I got to a point where turning pro was the only option. I felt. I did. Yeah, it was definitely, like, I worked pretty hard. And like we said earlier, we were talking about how you sacrifice your whole kind of teenage years. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I didn't really have too much of a social life. I kind of dedicated myself to the game completely. Spent tons and tons of hours on ranges and playing amateur tournaments and, having the opportunity to go overseas with Golf Australia and Golf Victoria, to play these international events and get exposure that way.
Yeah.
It was definitely a good recipe for improvement and quickly.
What was your biggest highlight in your amateur career playing wise?
Highlights. There was a few I had. There was ultimately winning the Queensland Open.
Yes.
That opened a lot of doors for me. And that was obvious. That was originally the kind of the door opener for me to kind of think about turning pro rather than doing the college route or just
Yeah.
few schools and then trying through mini tours. And that's when I got involved with a few management groups, and that's when it all got pretty serious pretty quick. And mind you, I was just turned 19 at the time, so it was quite. I was still quite immature. I'd feel, I'd just come out of school. I didn't know much about adult life and all that entice. So, yeah, there was definitely a good kind of patch I had. That was probably courtesy of maybe 2 years' work previously that I had
Yeah.
worked with coaches and through the VIS and training 3-4 times a week under the guidance of genuine people within the field. So, but ultimately, probably the experiences I had with guys now that are up, like your Minwoo Lees, all those guys that we got to go on trips with,
Yeah.
to build a bond with them as well, to be able to, connect with them in a way.
That 2016 Queensland Open that you won, right?
Yeah.
When you're 19 years of age and you've just pegged it up there as an amateur golfer, did you rock up? Did you rock up that week thinking that I can win this event?
So, funnily enough, a couple of weeks before, I played the Asian Amateur.
Yes.
In Korea, and I just lost to Curtis. It was a pretty tough pill to swallow. But at the end of the day, I was playing good golf, and I had been playing pretty good golf through that summer period. I went to America to play in all the amateur stuff, and it was good. I had a really good kind of few months. I played a US Amateur and got the medalist out there, and got knocked out in the first round. But nonetheless, it was that was a pretty good field as well out there.
Yes, of course.
To get my feet wet, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really like to say that because you want to go out there thinking that you're going to win every tournament, right? You don't go up there to show up to finish whatever. You're going out there to win.
Yes.
I did have this kind of feeling about it. I had a bit of exposure before the event through some media and stuff like that, talking about the Asian Amateur and how I felt. I was pretty quick to move on from it. Obviously, it hurt early on, but the ability to move on quickly is a massive element of this game. So being able to move on quickly, and it was a couple of weeks in between and whatnot. I was just at home working on some stuff, and then got the opportunity to play it. And I don't know. It was a pretty blur of a week, to be honest.
How many did you win by?
I think 3 in the end.
Yes. So, but and it's okay to say that, for instance, I think every tournament you go into looking at winning, right? But there's a different element as well when you've got when you're an amateur golfer and you're rocking up to a professional event, the Queensland Open, and then, it's definitely different there. But I think these days, if you're coming off that just losing the Asian Amateur win to Curtis, right?
Yeah.
Would I be mistaken in saying that's the one where you get to start in the Masters, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I'm sorry to bring that up.
But
yes. So you've just come off that, right? Which is, you know what, Brady? I watched that. I remember watching it now. It's re-coming to me, right? Watching that one, because there'd been a couple of Aussies. It was pretty well publicised, and I think your whole Golf Australia team were there around the 18th green too, I believe. And then, so you've done well there, and then you've gone to US Amateur, right? Which is, you become medalist at US Amateur. That is, we know all the US Amateur wins, or people who play well at US Amateur, we know where they end up, right? They end up pretty good golfers. So I guess when you come into that Queensland Open, as much as, you said you had a bit of media work and stuff there, it does make sense that you probably did have a fair bit of sense of confidence going into that week, right? And
100%.
So what was that? What was that like going into the last round? Did you feel pretty comfortable?
No.
No?
Never. No. You never feel comfortable. If you're comfortable, there's something wrong.
Yes.
I'm just trying to backtrack, really, how I felt. I remember I was in a 3-ball in the last group, and Lucas Herbert was in that 3-ball.
Yep.
And he, obviously, we look at him now, he's a very established golfer, great golfer, always has been.
Yeah.
And he was the one that was pressing me on that day. And being able to hold off that kind of pressure in those last kind of 8, 9 holes
Yeah.
was something I probably learned that's valued me for the rest of my career onwards.
Yeah.
Just being able to kind of be able to really be able to center yourself in the moment and be able to focus on your shot. Because a lot of times, there was times in my amateur career previously where I would just completely shit the bed, right?
Yeah.
And those times need to happen because then you learn what not to do. If you just keep winning and winning and winning, you don't learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a really, I'd say, not an eye-opening moment, but a really kind of confidence-inspiring moment where I could go and go, hey, well, this here, what I did that day, I can do for one, and two, this is what I did, and I know that works. So it's just the simple things like being able to kind of breathe in the right moments. You know, if something bad goes wrong, it's not the end of the world. You know, have something to eat in a couple of holes because you'll forget. Keep drinking water. Just stuff like that, the really small things just to keep on top of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but geez.
So when you
look, yeah.
But it's interesting that you talk about that, right? About those experiences, because you've had so many great experiences, and like I know when you're going to get given this opportunity next year, you're going to flourish. And when I, hear Harrison Endicott, he was talking to me about, obviously plays in the PGA Tour, about it's important early in career, he believed, to have these challenges. He said that you need to have flights cancelled. You need to have accommodation not work. You need to have, miscuts and food poisoning. Like he was just kind of talking about this stuff because these are all these lessons that we learn. He said that because if you don't learn these when you get to the PGA Tour, he said they're all going to happen to you. And he said some people just get it too easy. He said you got to go down to the Latin American Tour, go to the Canada Tour, like struggle, go to a professional event when there's no driving range. He said like all this stuff is what can make you. And he said a lot of times people think it's this easy road because now when you get given this opportunity at the DP World Tour next year, you're not given it, you earn the opportunity. You can draw upon all these amazing experiences that you've had to push you through. Like it's pretty darn awesome. So after you won the Queensland Open, that was in 2016. How quickly did you turn pro after that?
Yeah, so there was some discussion around me and my team at the time, what my path was going to be for the next little bit, whether it be straight away turn pro, whether it was play the Aussie Summer, whether it was to, give it another year, right? Because winning that gave me an extra couple of years status on the tour.
That's true.
So there was no more invites, no more having to hassle, no more having to wait.
Yeah.
Wait and see if you're going to get a start. So there was that opportunity there, which was massive.
Yeah.
What I initially did, I got in contact with some management, and I was just getting some feedback off them and what I should do, and then Golf Australia at the time and my coach at the time.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I was 19. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was just focusing on my golf, and then all of a sudden this massive door opened and just in came a flood of opportunity.
Yeah.
So initially what I did, I decided not to turn pro straight away and just keep building on the golf I'd been playing over the previous kind of 6 to 12 months. That was probably the right decision because I had a really, really strong summer up to December time. So I ended up playing the New South Wales Open there, where I came second, and then I played the PGA, Oz PGA at Royal Pines, where I finished sixth. That was a European Tour event at the time.
Yes.
So that was a strong summer, and by the end of that summer, I was ranked, I think, 6th in the world as an amateur.
Wow.
So, it was just accumulation of just upward trend. Like, it was just a really strong kind of 3-4 months. And then January time, I got a call. Can't remember. It was a call from someone important, and they're like, "Hey, we think you should turn pro. We've sorted out some, sponsorship for you, rookie squad at the time. You've got full status on Oz Tour, so you can play 2 years out there and kind of build on your career from there. Really good platform, right?" So I did that. Turned pro in January 2017. Still 19, and from there just got a few starts internationally, a couple on the PGA Tour, a couple in Asia, just to kind of get my feet wet to see where I wanted to play. Ultimately, I wanted to play in America because I felt like I played good there.
Yeah.
And then, I keep waffling on for ages if you want.
That's okay. So what was it like what's the difference between? Can you put your finger on it? Can you explain to the listeners and to myself, obviously, about when you're playing amateur golf and you just rattled off there, you just thrown away some incredible results, right? You just kind of rattled them off like you just won the fucking Friday chicken run down at your local club. Like, you've just had some amazing results in professional events there on the Australian circuit. And then, was there any difference in when you started picking it up as a professional golfer? Did you feel anything inside?
Yeah, for sure. I'd be lying if I wasn't. It was definitely some sort of, you can't put it into words. It's just a different sort of pressure, right? Because now you're doing this for your job. You're professional. Money's now involved. There's a lot more heat on the line, I guess. And there's more spotlight on you, right? You're the new pro, successful amateur career. The limelight's on you.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I didn't feel too much on the golf course. It was more off the golf course stuff. I felt kind of a lot of anxiety towards it. The kind of needing, you've been getting these starts and it's like, God, I'm going here now. So it's all right, you go there and play and then it's like, okay, I got this call, I'm going here now. So you're going there. It was just a really hectic lifestyle early on that I wasn't used to, right? Because I was just used to playing the amateur stuff, and you'd go on an international trip once every few or so months.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now you're pro. No one's waiting for you anymore. You're out there with the rest of them. It's your job now.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. At the time, though, I was excited more than anything.
Yeah.
Right? Because you just turned pro. You've had an amateur career that's good. And then all of a sudden you're in that limelight, and it's just like, it's just crazy. Like rolling up to these PGA Tour events, the big vans are there with all the equipment. You're hitting balls next to Jordan Spieth. You see freaking Tiger Woods. You're like,
yeah.
It just felt like yesterday I was playing him on the computer or the PlayStation. So it's just surreal. And I don't think I did a great job at the time of being able to center myself and being able to kind of go, hey, you're here for a job. It was like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, really hard to block it out, right? Really hard to block it out.
You can't blame yourself because it's just excitement at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a shift in something.
Yeah.
And I think maturity over time and getting older and experiences definitely helps that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you just listed there, right? I could feel the emotion. I could feel the excitement and also kind of that pull. And like, I don't know your story crazy well, but I can imagine you're going to get tired and burn out pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that happened or not, but I can imagine like I'm going to put this into perspective, right, for the fathers out there. It's kind of like your kids on Christmas Day and you're watching them from 5 a.m. just charging, just having the day of their life. And you go, man, they're going to crash. They're going to absolutely crash. And for you, like, when I hear all that going on, like you say, you're 19 years of age, you had this really cool amateur career, and of course you had to turn pro because there's no point playing professional events and finishing top 5 every single time and not making a check. Like, it did seem like the time was right. But that's so crazy. So that was in the year after. So I'm going to say, was that all happening through 2017? That was what you were talking to me about?
Yeah, this was early 2017. So I turned pro in January.
Yep.
My first pro event was in Singapore Open, Asian Tour event.
Yep.
And that was an experience. Like, that was unbelievable. I got to play a practice round with Adam Scott, just me and him.
This is co-sanctioned, I believe, right? That's DP World Tour co-sanctioned, I think, is it?
I think it would have been. I can't remember. This is. Yeah. So, there's some big names there. I remember Sergio was playing. He was the head honcho for the tournament. Just stuff like this, right? So it felt like I put all this work in over time and just did my thing, got some results under my belt, made a big decision, and then it's all right there in front of you. It was just crazy. I felt like I hadn't done anything different.
Yeah.
It was just all of a sudden it was right there.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard to grasp at first, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, through 2017, what did I do? I played a couple of PGA Tour events. I played 3 actually. I got to start in the Pebble Beach one early on, the Pro-Am.
How'd you go?
Oh, that was an absolute mare of a week. I'd never seen weather like it.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was just a. It was almost like a Murphy's Law week. Everything went wrong.
Yeah.
Everything that could go wrong did go wrong,
Mm.
including the golf. It was just a whitewash of a week. It was a good experience though. Didn't play the best, but a pro-am event like that is really dependent on a lot of things.
I think Brett Coletta just turning pro, showing to her first PGA Tour event at Pebble Beach in torrential weather. I'm not expecting you to shoot the lights out. I'm expecting you just to have an experience. You know what I mean? Like, I know that you probably put all these expectations on yourself, and but yeah. Anyways, next event. What was the next event you played in the PGA Tour?
I got to start in the Memorial.
Oh wow,
That was a massive event,
that's
and
tough.
I played
Tough
really.
track.
I played tough track. I played really well that week. I got to. It was a big week because I got to meet a lot of kind of people that were doing some pedaling behind the scenes for me
Okay.
in terms of like management. Sponsors that have been helping me along the way. Meeting those because it's a big event. They come to these events, so
Yeah.
kind of meeting face to face was a massive week. I had my mum and my brother with me too, so they got to experience it as well. And we always talk about like it was one of the most special weeks. It was, I got to meet Jack himself.
What?
Yeah, got to play in a two ball on the last day with Brooks Koepka.
Stop.
Just me and him. This was just before he won his first major as well.
Brooks
So he was
Koepka?
playing well.
Good guy.
Yeah,
Good guy, hey?
yeah, he was a good guy. He was all business.
Yeah.
He didn't play too well that day, and I saw a lot of behaviour that I thought wasn't possible from a grown man. We'll put it that way. But
Hey,
it was like
he would have been quite young too then, I'm imagining. 2017, that's 7 years ago.
late 20s, late 20s.
Yeah,
Maybe.
late 20s. And what did you guys make the cut on the number? Is that why you're in a two ball?
No. This was on the Sunday.
On the Sunday?
This is on the Sunday. I
Yeah.
think I can't. I made the cut comfortably. I
Comfortably,
can't
sorry.
remember.
Yeah.
And then just kind of hovered around that 30th mark for the weekend.
That's
But
pretty good.
yeah, I remember seeing the timesheet. I saw we were a two ball, and the crowds were massive. Like when I say massive, like I'd never experienced anything like it. The first tee, I remember, I couldn't swallow my own spit. It was I was just dry. It was nuts. A great week, like.
Yeah.
And Caddy was great.
What was your third event?
Played the Travellers.
Wow, geez, you played some good ones.
Yeah, Hartford, Connecticut.
How'd you go?
That wasn't a great week playing wise.
Yeah.
That was the first week I met Rory McIlroy.
Yes.
But yeah, I just didn't play that well. Simple as that. Not really too much to talk about that one.
Well, but if you're not going
guess.
to, you got to have, at this point in time, as you as a golfer, it doesn't matter who you are, you got to have your A game on or A minus to be any chance of competing right at that. At that point in
100%.
time. And you've been given these, infrequent kind of opportunities. And I was talking to one of my players the other day about how with his status and the challenge about it is that like we can't get any momentum with his playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's like, gets a start here and goes there, and it's like, crap, that was okay. We can learn from that. When can we go again? Well, not for another month and a half.
Yeah, that is a tough part of definitely golf. Having no sort of schedule, for sure, or a very limited schedule, it's hard to get momentum.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to jump to Corn Fair in a second, but I want to talk about Back to Basics right now. I'm going to do the Back to Basics putting segment, so people listening to this know that Back to Basics, major sponsor of the podcast. Use TM15 for 15% off your Back to Basics putting mirror. Used by Ken Smith, designed by Richard Woodhouse and Grant Field. Support those who support the podcast. It's a fantastic mirror. I love people. A lot of you guys are supporting it. I get the little emails that come through, and I appreciate it. And I know Brady uses one himself, and it's a fantastic mirror. I think it's the number one putting training aid that every golfer should have. But as we dive into the Back to Basics putting tip here, right, that you're going to give us, Brady, I want you to talk to me about something that you've invented that I've seen. Can you incorporate that into your tip? What is it that you've made?
Yeah, so what I've made, I've just made it on something that I've used in the past. I like to use a line on my ball.
Yep.
I'm a very linear kind of person when it comes to putting. I like to see the line where I'm going and, work towards that. What I've made here, I'll show you guys.
Yeah, show me.
It's basically, called it True Roll. It's basically here. It's a bit of pipe, right?
Yes.
And what you do is you put your ball in,
Yep.
and you're able to draw a line on your ball to your desire.
Okay.
Basically, how far you want it around. I like to draw half and half, so basically half the ball.
Yep.
But when I train, I like to draw a line around the whole ball.
Yeah.
Because then when you do put the ball down, you're able to see the roll.
Yeah.
And it's a really good piece of feedback I've used over the time to just see how your roll's going, if you're getting any kind of hook spin, if it's bouncing too much, just stuff like that. And it's quite satisfying to use as well.
Can people? So that True Roll that you're talking about there, I like it. So for people who are actually listening to it, it's like a piece of pipe thing you can just pop in your bag. I'm going to say the size of your fist potentially, right? Maybe how long? You probably know how long it is. 10 centimeters, is it? 8 centimeters?
Yeah, about that. I think it's about 10.
And you can kind of draw a line around it. Tell me, can people buy this?
Yeah, people can buy it. I haven't got up and running like a website or anything just yet. But if anyone's actually keen, they can give us a message on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, I'll put the link
under my name.
I'll put the link below to access Brady's True Roll there. So I'll put the link below to your Instagram page so people can contact you. And that's fantastic. It's a really great idea. I love using a line. How come you don't draw the line the whole way around? Is it just a visual thing when you're playing?
I find that it's more chance of it smudging. So then you got to get rid of the ball.
Oh, okay.
Just stuff like that. I mean, if that doesn't bother you, go for it. But when I train mostly, I will sit there. I actually find it quite satisfying. I'll get my box of balls before a tournament and I'll mark all the 2 boxes. I'll sit there with this and draw the lines.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's quite meditating for me, and I'll draw my little dots how I mark my ball. So, yeah, this one's got a limited edition green to start. I just painted a few of them like this and the rest are black.
I love it. I tell you, I tell you one thing, you talk about marking a ball for a tournament, Brady. I used to always I did it religiously when I played, right? But my first ever tournament as a trainer, golf freshman, I started my traineeship. I think I parred the first hole, went to the second hole, smoked my drive in the middle of the fairway, and just assumed that I was the shortest ball because I was playing with 2 big guys. First went up, hit the first one, hit it to like 2 feet. Oh, fuck, I'm going to make birdie as a trainee. How good's this? Nerves can calm down. Get down there and someone goes, hey, this is not my ball. And I realized that I was the furthest ball. I actually hit the furthest drive, right? Strong, right? Anyway, so I run up, get the guy's ball out of the bunker for him, take it back, and next hit it to 2 feet, right? Go run off the green, get it, take it back to him, go hit my ball, plug it in the face, make triple. Anyway, so every night before then, but it was a great lesson. It was a great lesson.
Oh, 100%. You got to do it once. Everyone does it once.
Yeah, I marked my ball religiously every night the night before. So, but I was a big line drawer as well. I used a line when I putted. I just felt like it was, I just liked what you said, that kind of linear line. I liked being a little bit matter of fact of where this is going to go.
Yeah, 100%.
So, in the Back to Basics putting tip, right, do you have anything for us that you do on a daily basis in your putting, when you're training at all?
It's funny you say that. Basically, all I'll use religiously is the mirror.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So basically what I'll do, Nick's been great to me. I've got a few of them here. I will religiously, even if I'm just going for a little stuff around with the boys, I'll use it before I play. Yeah. It's just a habit I've ingrained.
Yep.
And I'll slap it down, find a 5-foot uphill putt or relatively straight putt, and I'll sit there and make sure everything's in line.
Yeah.
100%. That's one thing I'll do. And then if I'm practicing, I'll set myself usually 2 drills.
Yep.
And I'll make them relatively hard so they're challenging, but not impossible.
Yep.
So I know that I can complete them. If I'm putting well, I'll be able to complete them within a timely fashion.
Yep.
And however long or short that takes, I'm out of there.
Okay.
So it's more a resilience kind of thing.
Yep.
I think. I actually learned I was fortunate enough to be able to practice with Cam Smith when I was over in the States. Yeah. And I was watching him closely and he gave me a few drills that he does when he practices.
Yeah.
And naturally, I implemented them into my own work as well. So, yeah, that's basically what I do. I'll set up the mirror 100%, just get everything in line. I won't spend too long, maybe between 3 and 5 minutes on it, hit 20 or so putts, and off I go, set off my drills. I'll do that for about how long it takes, 10, 20, 30 minutes, and then I'm off.
It's interesting, right? Because it sounds like with the tasks you talk about that you don't make them too hard. Do you think that's on purpose to make sure that you're kind of getting a little bit of, I don't use the word confidence, but you're kind of going in there and just checking like, yes, I'm good at my mirror. Yes, I'm putting pretty steady. I'm doing these exercises. I'm good to go. It's kind of like a little bit of a satisfaction of telling yourself that you're in the right place.
Yeah, there's that element. And I think as well, I think it's overlooked. I think people just get bored, right? If you sit there and you can't complete a drill, what do you, you're not. I mean, as long as you're putting well and relatively fine, if you sit there and just grind away at a drill, it's just wasted energy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think if you can set up a drill that you know you can complete, as long as it's challenging enough where it does get on your nerves, where you sit there and if you do miss one of those putts where you're near the end and you have to restart or whatever, it makes you go, oh, fuck, it gets you angry, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the line where you want to be.
Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate kind of green zone of improving.
I like that. Now, with the mirror, do you put any teas in it at all, like to help you with some avoidance aids in regards to not kind of going offline, or do you just kind of have it flat down on the ground?
If I do any, it's just I'll just put them at the impact zone.
Okay.
Just for kind of, yeah. I don't really, even as well, I'll put usually some gates. Nick was actually good. He gave me a string line as well. They've got a new string line out there on their website.
Yeah.
And I'll use that for kind of like some breaking putts as well, just for line stuff. And that's great to use with the true roll as well, because you put the line down on the mirror as well.
Yeah.
And then you line it up with the string line on top, and it's just this concoction of just satisfaction for your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's lots to learn, lots to see, lots of believable lines as well, Brady. Like you're kind of looking around and you're seeing this line, you're seeing this start line, you're seeing the gate, and your eyes and your brain are all communicating and training each other on what it should look like for that ball to go in the hole. Instead of just kind of putting into like an open field. It's like crazy. Oh, I like that. And I like that you've incorporated the your kind of training aid there with the back-to-back putting mirror. I love the line on a ball. I'm a big component of it. I think it's for me it's really important in my putting, but it's not for for everyone, but for me.
Yeah, that's right. That's another thing, right? If it's not for you, then it's not for you. I'm not out here to push something that's not going to help you. Ultimately, I'm doing it just to give back and just try and improve other people's golf.
But let's just say it's an anomaly when you see a pro not doing it.
Yeah. A lot of people, I've noticed, I'd say more than half would use it.
Yeah.
And then on that half as well, a lot of people will use it as well horizontally.
Yes.
So something to, I don't know, maybe like a impact zone, right?
Yeah.
Some sort of visual impact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can use it both ways, I guess, for lining up and impact.
That's
all preference. Putting is so personal.
I love it. I love that. I love the square face one too. It's like a cross. So it's like a cross, or you can have like a T on it. Love it. Oh, that brings us to the end of the Back to Basics putting segment, Brady. Thanks for that, mate. Thanks for the putting tip. Support those who support the podcast. TM15, get you 15% off. Discount code and link is below. He's an Australian he lives in Australia. He's not Australian, but he lives in Australia too. And, he works closely with us here at the Golf Coach Podcast and helps lots of the up-and-coming golf pros around and is always willing to help out. So if you need any help, professional golfer, or if you're a golf coach at all, reach out to Nick from Back to Basics. Link is down below, and he'll sort you out. All right, tell me. So 2020, we're on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yeah.
How did that come apart upon us? How did we get on the Corn Ferry?
I'll probably peg you back. It was 2019 when I first got in there. I went to...
Yeah.
I'll keep going back. I'll give a bit of context. 2018... Mm-hmm. I played the summer season in Canada. So like Harrow said, you do your time in the mini tours or the smaller tours.
Yep.
And that was such a massive eye-opener for me because I got over there after playing basically just Oz Tour stuff, a little bit of American stuff here and there and a handful of Asia and whatnot. And I get over there and I've got a full card on Canada Tour and I get over there and it was just an eye-opener to see how low these people go. There is multiple times where I've been in a position where I've had even 1 under, 2 under par, and it's been a fantastic score, right?
Yes.
But I go over there, and I can't remember the specifics, but I wasn't shooting lights out low.
Yep.
And I was hovering like around 30th, 40th.
Yeah.
So there was guys out there on the day were shooting 9, 10 under pars.
Yeah.
And that was a massive eye-opener for me because I'm thinking, okay, the fear that you have, you flat out need to get rid of. Stuff hitting it 10 feet left of the hole, you need to freaking go at it. Everyone's going at it. So that was a massive experience and learning procedure for me to kind of get out of a thought pattern that I had.
Yeah.
Granted, there is times where you need to hit it to a certain spot on a green to, avoid catastrophe and bad trouble. But this whole season, I remember there was one guy, I can't remember his name, and he was leading the order of merit after 4 weeks, and his scoring average was 65. And I was over there. I'm like, this is fucking Canada Tour. What's Corn Ferry? What's PGA going to look like?
Yeah. So
I was sitting there. It was just like a mind-blowing moment.
I want to ask you this. So, for instance, people listening to this, there's tournaments on the PGA Tour where you might see someone shoot even par and they don't go backwards on the field by that much. And there's sometimes we see tournaments where they're finishing 20 under. We see them shoot even par and they're just backwards in a rip, right, going crazy.
Yeah.
But why in Canada? Why are they going so low? Is it the course setup? Is it guys just aren't afraid? Why are they just going so deep in some of these mini tours?
It's definitely a mixture of course setup. So they're not hard by any means, but they're not easy.
Yeah.
There's probably, up in Canada, there's a lot of tree line kind of pole kind of courses.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the length usually isn't an issue out there. It's more just how sharp you are with your kind of shorter clubs, kind of pitching wedge 9-iron down.
Yeah.
And how good your putting is, really. That whole season, it was just a huge learning experience. What I learned out there is probably more than I learned combined on other tours, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And, there was people out there on those tours that are playing PGA Tour now, right, that have come straight from those ranks, gone straight through Corn Ferry and got on the PGA Tour, right? So you never know who you're playing with against out there. There's guys out there that are teeing up that could potentially be world number ones.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, you hear stories of like talking about a couple of guys in the PGA Tour and we played together in Canada or something like that. And their games, I'm not going to say have evolved that much. They were still just as good back then. They just needed to earn their status, right?
Yeah.
Some of these guys are just, killing it. That's why we see when they get given opportunities that sometimes they can just jump into it. So you played a full season in Canada in 2018. What happened after that?
After that gave me exemption to second stage of Corn Ferry, or web.com at the time,
yes.
Q School.
Yeah.
So I went to that, got through that in flying colours.
Nice.
And then that got me into final stage.
Yeah.
So I went to final stage in Arizona. That was in December of 2018.
Yeah.
And I got through on the number there, which was 18 under par. On the number.
Oof. Jeez.
So 40th was 18 under par.
How many rounds? Was that?
4.
4 rounds. Yeah. Wow.
And speaking of, we'll backtrack. I had even par the first round there, and I was coming third last.
Oh.
It was one of the lowest in history, Corn Ferry or web.com qualifying scores.
What'd you go, 666 coming in?
No, I had 9 on the last day and a 7 in there. I can't do the math. It was nuts. I had 9 on the last day. It was hectic. It was gnarly. So I got my card through that. That gave me first 4 starts.
Yes.
On Corn Ferry. So this is now early 2019. First few events are in Bahamas. Played terrible the first week and then had a top 10 in the second week. And that basically re-ranked me to play pretty much well the rest of the season.
Okay. So you got a good season 2019. Where'd you finish on the order of merit in that year?
27th on the order of merit. I finished
Top 25, right?
top 25 got cuts. This is regular season, yeah.
That's, mate.
It's a brutal game.
I'm so impressed with your golf. Like, to hear you even say that you had even par, and in the first round of that qualifying, the second stage, I think it was, he said, first round, and then you just smash it 9 under last round to just knowing that you needed to have it. That's so impressive. You've got so many good attributes to your game and to your mental side. It's incredible. So you've just missed out. What was the feeling like when you finished 27th on the order of merit? So people listening, I think majority of you might know that top 25 on Korn Ferry get you a start in the PGA Tour the next year, get you a card that most of you guys are all playing for on that tour, right? And what was it like? What was that like for you? So I'm assuming you're about, how old are you then? 21, 22?
Yeah.
Were you still kind of like proud of yourself? Or were you upset? What was it like?
Definitely upset, right? Because you've worked to a point to get to there and you just miss out, right? It's like missing out on anything.
Yeah.
Right. A job promotion, for that matter, I guess. It's just disappointing, right?
Yeah.
It was a long, long season. I think I'd played 32 weeks of it, including the Korn Ferry finals at the time. So I missed, but I still kept my card full for the next year, 2020. And I decided to come home after that because I'd spent 7 months straight over there, 8 months just on the grind playing non-stop. And I came home and I was a little bit emotional, I guess, and just kind of trying to understand what had happened and how I can better myself for the next year and all that stuff. So that time moved relatively quickly, and then all of a sudden the time came again to go back and start it all again. It was definitely a bonus because I got to see all the courses and I had the flexibility of a full schedule, so I could pick and choose where I wanted to play and what courses and places I didn't want to go to.
Yeah. Did you enjoy that year playing on the Korn Ferry?
I did. I really did. I think 2019 was maybe, I'd say, one of the best years I've had on tour, for sure.
Yeah.
There was a lot of guys on Korn Ferry. That year, a lot, actually. I was in the same, what's it called, like a rank category. So basically, where on Korn Ferry, you play with the same people that you're ranked with a lot out there.
Oh, okay.
So if you're coming 50th on the order of merit, you'll play a lot with the guys that are from 40 to 60.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, they kind of make it that for TV purposes to give a bit of edge, I guess. And that year I was paired a lot with Scotty Scheffler.
Oh, wow. Fuck.
So I played a lot with him out there in that 2019 season. So it's crazy to think that he's world number one. I know he's a quality golfer and his stats are outrageous. But at the time, you just don't know. Like, you're pegging it up with this bloke every 2-3 weeks. Fast forward 3 years, he's world number one.
And he's not just world number one. He's world number
exceptional.
World number 20 is closer to world number 2 than world number 2 is to world number 1.
Oh, it's mind-boggling.
Tell me, what did you? This is a fantastic topic area, right? You've got to play with a guy who I talk about on this podcast more than anyone. Did you see this in him?
No. I hope he doesn't hear that.
No, it's okay. I'm sure, no one would.
He was good. Like, he had the X factor. I don't think he did that well that year, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'll have to be fact quoted on that, but I don't think he did anything too special that year.
Well, I'm assuming if you're playing with him a lot and you're in that kind of category you're talking about there, right, which is 20th or 30th or whatever.
Yeah, this was early in the season, but yeah.
Yeah, he's not like he's dominating events like he is now.
Yeah.
But he had the same footwork in his golf swing. He struck the ball the same. Like, it was a pretty good ball strike. I remember playing with him going, geez, this guy hits it well.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely, it definitely wasn't a weakness in his game.
Yeah.
He was a real, it was real business. It was all business.
Yeah.
We talk a lot, obviously. There wasn't much joking around. He was genuinely all business.
Yeah.
Right. It felt like he was years above his age in terms of experience and maturity.
Yeah.
It felt like he was there for one reason, and it was there to win and get that PGA Tour card. There was a handful of guys out there that felt like that, and they were the guys that ultimately did really well.
I also, I've heard stuff like that with someone was telling me a story, probably on this podcast, about how they were talking to Jordan Spieth, and he was an amateur, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm turning pro next year. I'll be on the PGA Tour." And they said,
Yeah.
"Don't you got to?" This guy said to him, "Don't you got to earn it?" He goes, "Yeah, but I'll be there." And he was having a drink at the bar. I just can't even remember who was telling me. He was having a drink with him, and he just goes, "Yeah, I've fun." But said, "Don't you got to earn it?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll be on the PGA Tour." Like there's just like it was not a if I qualify, I might go through here. It was just like this guy knew the business. Like he knew that that's where he was going to be going. I thought it was just pretty powerful hearing that. And but I guess one of those things when you're playing on the Corn Ferry Tour, it's a tour that you're trying to get off to, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a weird feeling. There's a lot of host families that you stay with and a lot of people that you meet along the way.
Yeah.
And it's like this mutual agreement of, I hope I don't see you next year kind of thing. Thank you for everything, but I hope I don't see you. It's a real unique feeling. But everyone's really understanding of it. They understand that you're there for your job and you're there for one reason.
Yeah.
It is a completely... It's a serious tour.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of joking going around. And people, you said before how like Europe seems to be a bit of like a good cult kind of feel. The guys that from countries hang around each other and you can make friends. Corn Ferry was not like that.
Yeah.
It was all business.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. And there's a lot of stakes on the line, right? But you know what? DP World Tour now. I know you're going to go the next year and you're going to kill it. You're going to earn your PGA Tour card. But I wonder if it'll have a similar vibe to that next year. Like it does look like a lot of fun. But
yeah, like I said, I'm so keen to try it. I haven't done it.
Yeah, mate, you're going to nail it. So tell me, 2020, because I looked at your statistics. I only had you playing on that tour 2020, 2021 on Corn Ferry.
Yeah.
So 2019, you finished. You go back 2020. Tell me what happened.
Yep. I play the first few events, nothing special, just kind of hovering around that. I suppose around the top 75 mark.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure. And then we have a break. We have a break of about 5 weeks from the end of Feb to the start of, or mid-April.
Yeah.
And that was a good time to come home, right? So I decided the end of February, I decided, yep, I'm going to come home for a bit. I've got 5 weeks. I'm not going to have this opportunity for another 6 months. I'll go home.
Oh, I know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, so I think everyone knows what happens here. The old flu comes in and shuts down the world, right? So I'm back at home sitting on my ass here in Melbourne. And obviously everyone knows what happened down here. There was just nothing going on. You could not move without being flamed, really. So basically I was summoned to not play golf for about 9 weeks. I was doing some little stuff in some nets and stuff that people had at their house and whatnot, but nothing like competitive practice or out in the elements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that went on. As it was declining down here, I get an email from the head of the Corn Ferry Tour at the time, and they're like, yep, we're getting back underway, start of June. And I'm like, shit, I have not freaking touched the club or played competitive golf for fucking 2.5 months.
Yeah.
So I'm like, shit. Right. So I kind of scramble my stuff together, get over there, and the first event was an event that was played at TPC Sawgrass in Florida.
Yes.
Right. So a pretty serious golf course. And I get back, and I remember I was paired with Will Zalatoris and Mike Weir.
Okay.
3-ball.
Yeah.
And I played the first round, and I think I shot like 3 or 4 over. Pretty disappointed, but I was like, I haven't played.
Yeah.
These blokes both shot 6 and 7 under.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember vividly talking to them. Like, I felt humiliated, right? I've just been slapped by 10 shots by both of them. And I remember vividly, Will was telling me, what's it like down in Australia? Like, all this COVID stuff. And I said, mate, I haven't touched a club for 10 weeks properly and had any sort of playing exposure. Yeah. Like, I haven't been outside, mate.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and goes, damn, that sucks. And I asked him what was it like. He was in Dallas, and he said, man, it was great. I was playing money games with Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas every day.
Yeah.
And I was like, how am I meant to fucking compete?
Yeah, so people listening to
Like,
this, like what happened is, so Brady's in Melbourne, and I think it was the most lockdown city in the whole entire world. Premier wouldn't even let him play golf. It was just
yeah,
terrifying.
it was rough.
Yeah, he's got a lot to blame
I
for
don't
it.
know. It was mixed emotions at the time. Mixed emotions. A part of me didn't want to go for some reason. I don't know why. Why would I want to stay in a lockdown city? But yeah, it was a pretty unique time,
Yeah, but we're also getting
and
fed.
it was just a,
We're also getting fed information that was fear mongering at the same time, right? Like there was a kid.
yeah, it was strange.
There
Eh?
was a kid around the corner here. We'll lock down. He, well, she or he or whatever, got booked by the police for driving on their L's because they weren't doing anything that was necessity. Like, so they just said, "Oh, got nothing to do. We'll just take you for a drive on your L's and get your hours up." And they got booked for
Yeah,
not doing anything. Like you're only allowed to go to Woolies and back. Like it was just fear mongering type of stuff, right? So anyway, so let's kind of just fast forward through that a little bit. So you finished 2020. Not you. Did you keep your status for 2021?
so what they did, they made it. They called it a super season. So they basically combined the 2020 and 2021 seasons into one,
Yep, that's right.
which sounded great at the time, but it was fucking horrible because we ended up playing like 55 events or so.
Oh wow.
Well, that was like the calendar, right, for the 18 or so months, or not including the off season. So probably really about a year, a bit more. So there was there was an event every week, right? And if you hadn't been playing well earlier, or you hadn't won, or you were behind the eight ball, essentially, you were struggling, right? Because you'd have a good result and you'd move up 3 or 4 spots rather than like 20 or 30 if it was a regular season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't have a great 2020 at all. I was just struggling to get any sort of momentum with my golf, and ended up just overplaying.
Yeah.
Ended up just playing way too many because I felt like I had to. I was behind the eight ball. I wasn't playing too great. And then all of a sudden, I'm just staring down the barrel of my 8th week in a row.
Yeah.
And it's just, at that point, it's just become numb. Like there was no like spark anymore. I was just rolling up the course. Everything looked the same. It was just grass and holes cut out of it with some bunkers in the middle and some trees. It just felt, just didn't feel real. It just felt a bit desensitized to it all. So that was probably kind of the spiraling problem. And then 2021 came around. I just wasn't playing any better either. Ended up missing my card at the end of 2021.
Yeah.
Packed up my things, sent them all home, and had some time off to reevaluate what I wanted to do, if I even wanted to play golf anymore.
Yeah.
If this is for me. Basically, it was a pretty rough time, to be honest.
Yeah.
Kind of ended 2021. So I took some time off, did a little bit of work in some other areas of life and whatnot. And then, I kind of come to my senses probably mid-2022 to say, look, you've got a gift here. You've worked so hard to get where you are. You've dedicated basically 3/4 of your adult or your whole life to get to where you are. Just keep showing up. So I did. I went to Q School in 2022 for the Oz Tour, which was a pretty humbling experience. What ended up happening was I got COVID during the week, and that was still at the time where you had to isolate yourself if you got it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I got COVID, had to withdraw. So now I've got no status, right? I'm in the most unique, rough shit category. Anyway, so that was good. I had some real good help from Kim Felton and Nick Dasty from the tour and my management group at the time to really get me some starts.
Yeah.
And to my credit, I made the most of them.
Yeah.
In 2020, I got a few starts early on in the Perth swing, a couple of top tens. I wasn't eligible for a re-rank at the time, so I just had to keep playing and playing and playing. Anything that I got into, I just had to play and play well.
Yeah.
And I pretty much well did for 95% of it. So that got me to a point where I was sitting healthy on the order of merit. And then, moving on to 2023, I had a pretty breakthrough win,
So when you had that 2022 year, right, where you kind of, full of that humbling experience there, and you had all those good results, you're kind of earning a little bit of belief and a little bit of love back for it as well, I guess, right? Because the difference between having a love for the game and a love for tour golf at the same time. I think people have got to realize that they need to be different. Like they need to be differentiated because I believe like back in the day, a lot of guys wouldn't go in surfing comps, but were ripping. You know what I mean? Because they didn't like the actual competition nature of it, but they still loved surfing, right? So what I hear you talking about there is for the 2022 series there is like you kind of, it's probably a great place to be. Like it probably wouldn't have been a good thing for you to even keep your card on the 2021 Corn Ferry. Like it's probably a good thing that it all happened.
Yeah. And ultimately what I've learned is probably America's not for me.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
I packed up my stuff when I got my card in 2019. I packed up my stuff. I stole my car. I did everything. I packed up basically my life and said, I'm going to America.
Yeah.
Got myself a visa and I jumped into life over there.
Yeah.
A full-blown adult life with genuine bills and, genuine responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I loved it. Like I said, there was times where I was obviously crap and, you're not playing well and it puts a dampener on it all. But ultimately, I'm trying to find the positives out of it. And what I learned probably is that, America's not for me. I couldn't live there.
Yeah.
It's not my thing. So I tried it. I can tell everyone that I tried it and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah. And I want to share something from you as like a friend point of view as well, is that it definitely wasn't for you at that point in time, but you never know in the future, Brady. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're all different ages and if I can say a little something, for instance, I grew up in a kind of a country town 2 hours south of Sydney. And I say the best thing I did was move away from that town and move to Manly, right? I had a ball. I was partying, going like crazy for 12 years. And the best thing I say was I moved to Manly, and the best thing I did was move out of Manly and back to my country town. So we're close to it, very close to it. So I'm in Kiama. And so I wouldn't completely close the door because I'm sorry to say, Brett, you're going to play really good next year and you're going to have a card on the PGA Tour. So
all good problems. That's what we like to have.
That's a good problem to have. So, but that's and that's a really cool experience. So then you had tell me your breakout win in 2023. What was the breakout win?
Yeah, so just to follow on, I guess I was just playing off invites for that 2022 season, and it's good, but it's just not nice because you end up having to wait, and you're not sure if you're in or not, and you have to beg and ask. I don't like doing that. I like to do things on my own merit and earn my way into things.
Yes.
Right, so this was at the Hunter Valley TPS event in 2023.
Yeah.
And mind you as well, in the back of my mind, I know I haven't won for 6-7 years.
That's right. Yeah.
And 0 wins as a pro.
Yeah.
So there is, I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a little monkey on my back.
Yes.
Saying, are you going to win again, basically. Anyway, like I said, I was playing well. I'd had a pretty solid 6 months before that. Just playing, pretty solid, consistently, a couple of bad weeks here and there, but overall pretty good. My body was feeling good. Rolled up to that week. It didn't feel any different to any other week. I got the job done, I guess. It was a pretty special way to do it too. What'd I do? The final round, I was 9 back. And I was teeing off at 9:15. The leads are teeing off at 1 o'clock, right? So my flight's booked at 8:30 at night. I'm ready to go home, shoot my 65 and call it a day. Try to finish top 10. Anyway, so I go out there and end up shooting a course record 61. All of a sudden, I'm tied with the leaders, and they're on hole like 3, right?
Wow, that's very unique.
So I've signed my scorecard, and I'm sitting there, and the guy in the scoring hut, he's like, "Mate, you've got to stay," because at the time the wind was getting up as well.
Ah.
So I'm like, okay. So another, like I said, good problem to have.
Yes.
So I take my shoes off, park myself in the clubhouse, find a couch, and rotate around, either watching the golf or watching some footy or just trying to distract myself somewhat.
Yeah. Not scoreboard.
At the same time, trying to rest my body because I just played 4 days in relatively hot weather.
Yeah.
After playing, I think 3 in a row. So I'm sitting there as well. I'm like, okay, I need it. So I ended up just kind of relaxing, and that time went on and on and on, and I went from in and out of the lead maybe 5 or 6 times across the day.
Yeah.
All came down to the last putt on the 18th green, and he missed it. So it turned out to be a playoff. Right, so I'd been sitting down in the clubhouse for about 4.5, 5 hours.
Wow.
And all of a sudden I've been called up to, okay, you're on for a playoff hole.
Yes.
So he's fresh off playing. It was Lincoln tie.
Oh, I know Link.
Me and Lincoln tie in the playoff. And we played the 18th hole. And, that was another 4 holes of just intense pressure. But
4 holes.
4-hole playoff.
And you got him. Congratulations.
I did, yeah. It was probably, I'm going to say it just because of the time period between wins, it felt like the most special.
Brett, and I don't want to give you, I want to, give yourself a hard time. Mate, there's a very strong reason, not strong reason to why you didn't win, but Jesus Christ, you were in very difficult company to try and win at that period of time. You're playing, since your win in the Queensland Open, you're playing PGA Tour events, Singapore Open, Corn Ferry, first timers moving to America, going through COVID. Like, I can't think of many ideal scenarios where everything was going to be optimized for you to actually play your best golf. like until...
It's a good point.
Yeah, so I would give yourself a little bit of a break there. It's not like... I would say, Brett, if you stayed in Australia and you kept playing, you would have had a lot more wins because you jumped straight into the big pond. And and I hear people all the time. I remember one time, like, if you win once a year, that's counted as the most amazing career of all time. Like some of the most amazing careers of all time. Like I remember when Dustin Johnson won every year for a long period of time. Adam Scott won every year for a long period of time. And that's counted as a huge success. So those guys are having huge losses, mega amounts of losses in between wins and still counted as, big successes. Yeah. I want to now, I'm going to ask you some extra questions, but I want to fast forward. I want to just talk to you about your Vic Open win in 2024.
Yes.
So it sounds to me like you're just kind of climbing back up this ladder. You're gaining all this confidence. You're feeling comfortable. You're loving the game. You're rekindling back that amazing golf you played. What was it like teeing up on the Vic Open in 2024 earlier this year, right? When you pegged it up start of the week, did you feel pretty good?
Yeah, I did feel pretty good. It was one of those places where I've played maybe 8 or 9 Vic Opens, all of them at 13th Beach.
Yes.
So the factor of not knowing the conditions and the course and the area, that was not there.
Yeah.
And I was very comfortable. I love being down there. It's one of my favorite spots to go to.
Yeah.
So it was actually pretty special. Well, not a special week. It was actually a pretty sad week. My dad's dad, my nono, had passed away a couple of weeks prior.
Yep.
And we had the funeral on the Wednesday.
Okay.
Right, so I couldn't play the Pro-Am for that reason. And we had the funeral, and that was quite emotional, as it would be.
Yes.
And I thought that genuinely would have a impact on how I'd play for the week. Right, because it's pretty fresh and pretty raw. It's not great to see a loved one go and someone that, an Italian family's quite close. But I pegged up that week, and it almost felt like I was doing it for a different reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was the ultimate reason why, but it just felt like there was a little extra heat on it for something other than myself.
Yeah.
And it's just eerie that happened to be the week that I break through and win.
Do you think it helped put a little bit of perspective on life a little bit more, you reckon?
Oh, it always does.
Because
always does.
When you were talking about Scotty Scheffler's success, I think it's no doubt that I talk to everyone about his success, and everyone says he's comfortable on who he is and, you know, his faith. And same with Nelly
Yep.
Corder, right, with how she's gone crazy. I think probably entering that event, you probably had a different perspective and on, you know, I guess the importance of golf. It's not that important, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously you're trying to block it out at the same time and focus on your job.
Yeah.
But that obviously it's right there in your mind.
Yeah.
That was, I think, that definitely had a massive role to play in the week in terms of just the way I felt and how I went about things. But on the flip side, some of the golf I played, or rather all the golf on the weekend, was probably combined the best 36 holes I'd played competitively in my career.
Yeah.
It was just really consistent, really.
Yeah.
I just felt like I had everything under control.
Yeah.
Which is such a rare feeling to have in golf.
Yes.
There was just this unique feeling of knowing where your ball is going to go, having ultimate control of your ball. And down there as well, it gets quite windy. So being able to flight your ball and, you know, lateral winds as well, being able to pick your start lines real well, putted well that week. It was just a special week, special weekend as well.
How many did you win by?
2 in the end.
What was it like coming down the last hole?
Well, I was 2 ahead, and the last hole there, beach course, is a par 5.
Yeah.
Reachable too. So you're not out of the woods.
Yeah.
The other guy in my group, Jordan Zunic, he was the one that was on my tail.
Yeah.
And Jordan's a good player, real good player, and he hits the ball real well. So I was knowing that a par 5, 2 good shots, he's got a chance for eagle, right?
Yeah.
That's obviously running in your head. Last time I was just thinking, if I can make 5 here, I think I've got it.
Yes.
Right, because an eagle's tough to make on that hole.
Yeah, percentages are low.
Yeah, percentages are low. So I'm running that through my head. I just stuck to my game plan. I'd done it all week. I hit an iron off the tee to avoid all the shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I probably hit one of the best 3-woods I've ever hit in my life.
Nice.
I ultimately just had to cover the crap that was about 30 short of the green, which was that bunker in that wasteland.
Yep.
And that was only about 210 metres, which, you know, for us guys out there, that's not too hard to do if you make a solid pass at it.
Yes.
So I just knew if I put a good swing on this, I caught it somewhat out the middle, even a little heely.
Yeah.
I was going to cover that and have a pitch up the green. Could hit it to 20 foot and 2-putt.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hit this shot, caught a little toey, so it got through the wind a bit better, and it was just on a perfect line the whole way. And it actually ran up there to about 30 feet.
Oh.
And I thought at that point, that was the icing on the cake.
4 putts to win.
Pretty much. And that's a nice feeling, I'll tell you that right now.
Mate, that would be sensational, and you deserve it, mate. You deserve to have that feeling, and I'm glad you got to felt what that feeling is like again, you know, to be in that position. I think for people listening and myself, I can just feel the journey you've been on, and I know next year when you jump on the DP Tour that you're going to have a lot of life lessons, a lot of gratitude, and I think your approach to next year's tour is going to be incredible. And I think you're going to not carry your divots, as they might say, right? And yeah, I'm sensing a very good year, rekindling your best golf. Brady, this has been amazing, but I want to ask you some throwaway questions, right? That I like to just ask all my guests.
Okay.
Right? Just
I'll give you my best answers.
They're just typical. These are real throwaway stuff. There's no meaning to any of this stuff. What's your favorite takeaway food?
Oh, I don't really like takeaway food, but if I'm stuck, probably Subway.
Subway. Yeah, I'm not a takeaway food guy either, but if you're on the travel, right, I love a good I love a good curry. You know what I mean?
Is that takeaway?
Indian.
Oh, are you talking?
Yeah, I'm talking. Yeah, we'll count like curries and Thais. Yeah.
I like Chinese.
Chinese? What do you go with at Chinese?
Honey chicken.
Oh, of course. Honey soy chicken.
the most westernized chicken.
Yes. Yeah.
Chinese.
That's probably not even. They probably don't even sell it in China. All right. What's the, if you can answer these questions, your best advice you've ever received?
I've received a lot of advice over the years. I don't know, probably as I've gotten older, just be comfortable within yourself.
Yes.
Do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have to answer to other people. Just do what you want to do. If you don't feel like playing this event, if you don't feel like doing whatever it is, just have a breather.
Yes.
There's certain times where it's like you feel like it's all getting on top of you and you feel like it's a burden. You have to show up and do certain things and whatnot. I don't know. There's certain times where you need to, obviously, but putting yourself first, I think, is very, very important.
Yes. Yes. I think that sounds like a lesson that you've definitely learnt, because what I would kind of add to that as well is like, it's important to drop into your soul and understand what you want to do, not what you're supposed to do or what other people think you're supposed to do or what anyone else is doing. I think it's really important to play golf the way that you play golf and to do what your soul is telling you to do. What's the worst advice you've ever received? Go play fucking all these tournaments.
Yeah. Burn yourself out. Worst advice. Gee whiz.
You don't have to answer it. I don't have a question.
I'm just thinking because I try to forget bad advice and I do a pretty good job of it, I think.
No worries.
I'll come back to it.
No worries.
Come back.
Do you have like a big sliding doors moment in your life where if this didn't happen, X wouldn't have happened? Can you share that with me?
I was fortunate enough to be able to play a lot of sports growing up.
Yes.
I was very sport orientated. I like being outdoors and playing other sports. I still do love playing other sports and watching them. I was pretty high up in cricket as well.
Yes.
When I was about 14 or 15, I was playing at kind of high rep and state level. And I ultimately had to make a decision to play either that, put chips in to play golf or cricket.
Interesting.
And I chose golf, obviously. I'd say, I don't know if it's a sliding doors moment. I think it was just ultimately a decision.
A big decision in your life.
Well, yeah, you kind of, it's a fork in the road. You either go down one way or another.
Yeah.
So I chose golf, and I think I liked it from the individual sense of how everything's on you. I like that kind of feeling where you do something bad, it's on you. You do something good, it's on you.
Yeah.
Rather than a team sport. But I still do really crave a team environment for sure. I think anyone who plays an individual sport really appreciates a team environment.
I would agree. If you can be any athlete in the world, non-golf related, who would it be? Mitchell Starc?
Yeah. No, I've got a real fond spot for these, like your Roger Federers, Nadals, the guys that have sustained excellence for such a long time in their field, because it's just such a, you just think about it, like even Tiger Woods for that matter, someone who's experienced just a level of complete dominance for such a long time.
Yeah.
And you just, you put it in, you just think about it in like stats wise and all that stuff. It's just mind boggling. I'd probably say Roger Federer.
Yeah.
To answer your question, but just that complete dominance for so long I find amazing.
I think what you're also going to find there too, Brody, is it kind of relates to being comfortable within yourself that you're talking about earlier, right? Because these guys have to be comfortable within all the decisions they're making every day. What's your favourite golf club in the bag?
My driver.
Wow. What driver are you playing?
I've got the Ping G430 at the moment.
Nice. What's your favourite golf course?
My favourite in Melbourne's Kingston Heath.
Yeah.
In fact, Australia for that matter. Worldwide, pardon?
Yeah. Favourite golf course in Australia is Kingston Heath.
Oh, in the world?
In the world, yeah.
The condition I played Muirfield Village that year.
Oh, yeah.
I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And I was, at the time I was 21 and I was able to appreciate it.
That's interesting. We don't appreciate that time we're 21.
No, you don't really appreciate too much that kind of stuff when you're that young, I suppose, unless you're a lawn connoisseur.
Yeah.
But I was like looking at it, I'm like, it was perfect, everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably that. In that condition, it was unbelievable.
Where's your favourite wave?
Probably, I like surfing. I spent a bit of time with an old caddy friend of mine who lives in Cardiff in San Diego.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of breaks there that are really quite nice and flowing. I don't really like going too big, that gnarly kind of steep stuff.
Yeah.
And especially if it's like reefy and shallow.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's
not
kind
really. Yeah.
pretty scary. It's a really kind of like slow, deep moving break there. And it goes right as well, which is the way I prefer. So
one of my best mates.
That's probably my favourite break in the world. Otherwise, there's like Western Port Bay out the back here is really nice.
One of my best mates loves San Diego. He's going over there tomorrow.
Yeah.
For a couple of months. Loves it. Absolutely loves it. Yeah. Mate, you've been fantastic, Brody. Mate, we're all not expecting, but we're envisioning, manifesting some great golf for you next year, mate. I know you're going to do really, really well. I hope all your dreams come true. I hope you just get to have such a great time out there on the DP World Tour in 2025. Thanks for coming on the Golf Coach podcast, mate.
Appreciate your time. Appreciate it.